The X-Zone radio and TV show is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone radio and TV show or in any manner endorsed by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, Talkstar Radio Network, its affiliated stations, or employees.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Chipmunks roasting on an open fire, hot sauce dripping from their toes. Yuletide squirrels, fresh filleted by the choir. They poked hot skewers through their nose. Everybody knows some pepper and a garlic clove help to make them seasoned right. Tiny rats with a crisp golden coat will really hit the spot tonight. And now when Santa sees his tray.
And welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, or Scrooge, whatever you want to call me. No, I don't hate chipmunks. Well, not as a rule. Christmas, they have a special meaning to me. Skewering chipmunks over the open fire. First time I played that song this year. Christmas is now officially here in the X-Zone. And we're going to be talking about Santa-Tizing Christmas. Tell me, have you been bit by the Christmas spirit yet? Well, apparently millions and millions and millions of you already have, because you're spending money left, right, and center. You know, you're buying Tommy this, Sally that. You're putting money away for this, putting away money for that. And come Christmas Day, all your planning that has taken you 364 days of the year to plan. Well, guess what, gang? It's all done and over with in 5 minutes. That's how long it takes the average family to open up all their gifts. Joining me this hour is a lady who's going to be talking to us about why Christmas turns people into Scrooges. Robin Main is her name. And we're going to be talking to Robin, who spent more than 10 years studying everything about Christmas. She knows every tradition and its origin. She can differentiate between the fact and fiction, secular and religious. She's even studied how Christmas impacts our culture. And all of those before us. Joining me now is Robin Main. And Robin, Merry Christmas!
Well, Merry Christmas to you, too.
Bah, humbug. I swear Christmas was invented by bankers and people who love looking at FICO scores. But where do you think society went wrong with Christmas? Before I get you to answer that, Christmas to me was always the family gathering together, the smell of turkey in the air, the anticipation of Santa Claus coming down a chimney that we never had. So where did we go wrong in later day when we now look for Santa Claus, who doesn't apparently, according to one kid I talked to yesterday, doesn't use reindeers anymore. He uses a UFO. What's wrong with society?
Well, we've kind of lost it, haven't we? Actually, from the very beginning, Christmas has been exactly how it is now. We keep on looking back to that ideal Christmas, and it actually never existed. It was made up.
It was made up?
It was, in the minds of men. You ever hear of Charles Dickens and Washington Irving?
Well, certainly.
They literally went Christmas in the early 19th century. It was a carnival Christmas at that time. It actually was more, New Year's Eve was more played up and New Year's Day, but Christmas was a carnival-like celebration. And in the early 19th century, they Santa-Tized it, if I could use that term. They changed it from a communal kind of rowdy celebration, like a modern-day Mardi Gras, into this very domestic, child-centered Christmas with all the Victorian values that go with it.
Not to mention all the money that they were going to make selling merchandise and books.
Well, the first guy who promoted Old Saint Nick, he was a merchant. You ever hear of John?
John who?
Have you heard of John? John Petard is his name.
Oh,
and he was a head of the New York Historical Society. All of the American Christmas that we know today that's kind of been exported throughout the world, he's the first guy who promoted St. Nick.
All right, stand by. You and I have to take a 2-minute commercial break. We'll be back on the other side talking about Santa-Tizing Christmas. My name is Rob McConnell. Robin Main is our special guest. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Don't go away.
Tonight. And now when Santa sees his train, there'll be some homemade chipmunk jerky.
Great.
We're all in a hurry. All out the holly. Turn on the brightest string of lights we've ever seen. Slice up the fruitcake. It's time we hung some tinsel on that evergreen bough. For we need a little music, need a little laughter, need a little singing, ringing through the rafter, and we need a little snapping. Happy ever after, we need a little Christmas now.
All right, now, somebody get these Muppets out of the studio. Every time they're in here, I've got frog imprints all over the place, and the big yellow bird keeps on molting. Guys, no more Muppets in the studio. 1-877-528-8255 is toll-free throughout the U.S., Canada, Alaska, and Hawaii. This is the X Zone. My special guest is Robin Main, and we're talking about Santa-Tizing Christmas. So basically, Christmas is all a bunch of hooey?
Well, of course it's not, but there's a reason why we can't live up to perfection, because that perfection never existed. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, I see. By the way, we just received notification from the newsroom that it is official. There will be no mangers or nativity scenes in Washington, D.C. this year or in Ottawa because they can't find 3 wise men or any virgins.
That's good.
But you know what? The Christmas spirit has been duped by the merchant Christmas. It's about money these
Correct.
days. It's not about love. It's not about family unity. It's not about togetherness. It's all about who gets what, and let's see if I can get more this year than I did last year.
Correct.
Why?
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 Well, it's in the Christmas's DNA, actually. If you track Christmas, it goes beyond the Middle Ages. It goes actually all the way back into Babylon.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do your research, which in my book I detailed this. Basically, Babylon, it had 3 different characteristics when it used the term Chaldea. And the first thing was it was a place of sorcery, and that what I mean by that is a place of manipulation. And don't the merchants manipulate us during this season?
Big time.
I think big time. And also it was also a place for sun god worship, and on all the ancient sun gods were worshipped on the ancient winter solstice, which was before the Roman shift in time. That was December 25th, the winter solstice. And then the third thing that this place of Chaldea is it was called the land of the merchants. So basically, it's always been there. We want to say we want it to be like it used to be, how it always was, but that reality never really existed. It's illusion. It's nostalgia.
Exo Nation, my guest Robin Main has sifted through the sands of time to discover hidden facts about Christmas, through which she authored Santa-Tizing, What's Wrong with Christmas and How Do I Clean It Up? Having researched everything in Christmas for over the past 10 years, Robin has been called a world expert on Christmas. She specializes in the history of Christmas and Christmas controversies. For example, the purported war on Christmas. Robin is a Christian who no longer celebrates Christmas and is one who enjoys provoking thought as well as promoting personal liberty. Her website is www.santa-tizing.com. That's www.santa-tizing.com. A Christian that doesn't celebrate Christmas, how do you get away with that?
Well, it's not easy. You stick out. But, if you feel convicted enough about something personally, it's just a personal choice of mine. Because when I started doing all this investigation, I really saw what it was, and I just said, I'm done.
What was the turning point in your research that, to you, was the breaking point that says, that's it, no more?
Well, when me as a Christian, let me take you from that point of view, is, we kept on saying it's Jesus' birthday, which fact is that, yes, Jesus was born, I believe, but not on December 25th. That was... Well, the Catholic Encyclopedia literally credits, there was a sun god that they imported from Persia called Mithra during in the 4th century when Christmas was created. This sun god, the Catholic Encyclopedia literally credits them. The Mithra's Winter Festival, which was the Nativity, as having credit for the December 25th birth date of Jesus. So I was like, okay, for one thing, they're twisting the facts.
Yeah.
For another thing, I really have a problem with the mixture of it all.
But
they're saying it's one.
But how can they twist that main fact of which the entire Christian faith is built on, that Christ was born on December the 25th? If that is a myth, if that is not true, how can anything else after that be looked as credible?
Well, it's just what the Catholic Church did during then. It's the process of assimilation. If they wanted people to join the church, they would say, hey, come join us like a club. Hey, we'll include your stuff with ours. So they really mixed this profane stuff, quote unquote, with supposedly the sacred stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So basically it got mixed up. I'm not saying that there's not good things in the church, because I am a Christian, I am a believer. Right. But I'm into looking at this and saying, let's kind of do away with the hooey, if you will.
But how do we know? How do we know then, after that, what is hooey and what is fact? For example, if we're talking about the birth of Christ being December the 25th, but not really on December the 25th, did the 3 wise men actually come? Were there angels in the sky? Did the angel Gabriel actually give the message to the Virgin Mary? Did Jesus walk on water? This puts the entire Bible into under the investigative spotlight.
Which I think it should be, and I think the Bible can stand up under it, and you have to, I weigh things by Scripture. Mm-hmm. For instance, the wise men actually were not at the manger. If you look at Matthew 2:11, they came to a house. And if you remember, if you know the Christmas story, Herod killed, what age children? Boys from 2 and under, right? Mm-hmm. So supposedly he could have been a toddler at that time. And not only were they not at the manger, we don't know how many wise men there were, and they weren't kings as well. Those are all myths that have come through the centuries. But
it can't be a myth, because I was at Walmart 3 years ago, and I bought myself a manger kit, and there were 3 wise men there.
I know, and this is one of the things I want to bring up is we've been taught, because of human traditions, we've bought into it and we've passed it down generation to generation. We just said, hey, this is the way it is. But I'm saying reality check. Let's do some critical thinking here and really re-examine all this. Because some of the stuff that we are believing as Christians, I'm talking about,
Right.
is not true. Okay? And that stuff, I think, needs to be sifted through and the bad done away with and keep the good.
But if the Bible says it's true, how can it be not true?
Well, there was a virgin birth, I believe, but I don't believe it was not on December 25th. In fact, there's ways to find it out if you have the time here. How much time do we have?
We've got about 3 minutes until the next commercial.
Okay, well, I can tell you two things you can look at.
Okay.
That could actually pinpoint when he was born. If you look into Luke 2:8, talks about these shepherds abiding by the field at night and
Yes.
watching over their flock. Okay, what you can do is you can look at the stars that were in the sky, and there's literally a record in the stars in the sky. There's computer programs these days, and there's a book out there that this Dr. D. James Kennedy wrote. It's called The Real Meaning of the Zodiac, and he literally pinpoints a time when Christ was born. And you can also look in the Bible. It talks about Zechariah, John the Baptist's father, was in the temple. Okay, he belonged to this priestly division called Abijah. He served in the temple. That was in Luke 1:8. And basically, shortly after that, he returned home and he got Elizabeth pregnant, and she was like 6 months, before Mary got pregnant.
All right, so let me ask you this question. When did Christmas first take place on December the 25th?
It first took place on December 25th on 336 AD in the 4th century. For the first 300 years, Christians did not celebrate Christmas. In fact, they thought it was heretical because it was the winter solstice celebration before it was Christmas.
No, isn't that strange?
Well, it's just history.
And history is so often misinterpreted because it's actually manipulated by people who want certain events to happen. And when I look back at the date of December the 25th, it certainly seems that this was part of a marketing ploy by Christians to bring over pagans who celebrated the winter solstice into Christianity. And as it is today, the more members you have in a religion, the stronger your religion is.
That's exactly correct. In fact, there was one other reason, too. There were these huge heretical sect. It was called Arianism with an I instead of a Y. And they believed Jesus was solely human. And to placate them, the Catholic Church added this birth celebration, Christmas, at that time in the 4th century. So there's a couple different reasons why they did that.
You and I have to take a commercial break, and we'll be back in 2 minutes. Very interesting. Robin, thank you very much for being with us today. www.Santa-Tizing.com, and we're talking about Santa-Tizing Christmas here on the X Zone. 1-877-528-8255 is toll-free throughout the U.S., Canada, Alaska, and Hawaii. My email is xzone@talkstarradio.com. On MSN Messenger, talkstarradio@hotmail.com. And our websites, www.xzoneradio.com and xzonetv.com. I'll be back in 2 minutes with Robin Main as we talk about Santa-Tizing Christmas here on the X Zone.
All out the holly, turn on the brightest string of lights we've ever seen. Slice up the fruitcake, it's time we hung some tinsel on that end.
Flu season is here again, and this year so is the H1N1 flu virus. By taking some simple steps, you can help protect yourself and others. Wash your hands with soap and warm water for at least 20 seconds. Cough and sneeze into your arm, not your hand. Keep common surfaces and items like doorknobs and keyboards disinfected. To find out more, go to fightflu.ca or call 1-800-O-Canada. Knowledge is your best defense. A message from the Public Health Agency of Canada. Flu season is here again, and this year so is the H1N1 flu virus. If you get flu-like symptoms but are otherwise healthy, stay home to avoid infecting others. If you get flu-like symptoms and are pregnant, have underlying health problems, or if your symptoms get worse, contact your health care provider. To find out more, go to fightflu.ca or call 1-800-O-CANADA. Knowledge is your best defense. A message from the Public Health Agency of Canada.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Said the night wind to the little lamb, do you see what I see?
Do you see what I see?
Way up in the sky, little lamb. Do you see what I see?
Do you see what I see?
A star, dancing in the night, with a tail as big as a kite, with a tail as big as a kite.
Welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, and we are Santa-Tizing Christmas this hour with our special guest, Robin Main. Her website is www.santa-tizing.com. And Robin, what is the most frequent question you get asked by people who meet you on the street and know about your book? How do they react to you?
Actually, right. If you would have asked me a year ago, they would have been a little more bah humbug. Mm-hmm. This year, they seem to be they're very fascinated. It's like it's, an idea whose time has come, basically. People are ready to look at it, reevaluate, just like they're reevaluating things because the economy and healthcare systems and everything getting shaken. So this is just a huge, it's a juggernaut, literally.
Okay. So do we look at the economy today as being the reason that people are turning into Scrooges?
That could be one of the reasons, definitely, because giving is always in the heart, correct? Mm-hmm. But being a Scrooge really is more about I believe a Scrooge is more about how you give once a year rather than all the time. Make it a lifestyle. And Christmas, the problem with Christmas, I believe, why Christmas turns people into Scrooges, is that it does teach us to give once a year. Here's the ritual. I do it. I'm done with my obligation. And then the rest of the year, we forget it's a lifestyle. We need to be giving all the time.
Tell me, can you tell us about Christmas being outlawed in America?
Oh, I sure can. That was done in 1659 through 1681. It was done in Massachusetts. Have you ever heard of the Massachusetts Bay Colony?
No, I haven't.
Well, they were the first ones, the Pilgrims and the Puritans and all that. It was outlawed for 22 years. But get this, the disapproval of Christmas literally lasted for many more years. It took about 200 years for Massachusetts to be swept up into Christmas cheers. They literally did not celebrate Christmas till the 1880s. Isn't that amazing?
That certainly is. That certainly is. So why was it outlawed?
Well, the Puritans, they believed that it was outlawed for 3 reasons. They believed that because it was invented by man, it wasn't prescribed by the Bible, and the early church fathers, literally co-opted the winter solstice like we talked about. And that was their hang-up with it. It literally came out of John Calvin and John Knox. They tried to enact Luther's sola scriptura idea, where live by Scripture alone. And that's where they came up with all this.
Now, what are the 12 Nights of Christmas, also known as in Austria?
Well, they're known as the Rough Nights.
The Rough Nights.
Yeah, they're known as the rough nights. It's really one of the strangest things because in Europe, if you look back into the history of Christmas, it's a time of great menace, supernatural menace, the Christmas season. A lot of demonic activity, they considered it. The people of Austria, literally, they drove these witches and evil spirits away with incense, loud noises, and a broom. They would dress up like witches and devils. They'd walk the streets. There's superstition, obviously, here. But they'd walk the streets with brooms, and then they were literally said to be sweeping away all those unwanted spirits. So kind of
why are there
bizarre.
spirits associated with Christmas?
Well, I think it goes back to its origin. I think it was. If you look at it, we cannot find exactly when Christmas originated, but it looks like it originated in Babylon at the Tower of Babel, and I believe that's a rebellion against God, and there's spirits with rebellion and all that kind of stuff. If you believe in that type of thing.
And yet there's spirits in Charles Dickens' A Christmas Story.
Well, he was fascinated with the German genre of ghosts, these doppelgangers. Have you heard of them?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, and but he didn't really believe in them, though. That's what was so interesting. In the Christmas Carol, doesn't he have a line there? You're more gravy than ghost, or something like that.
No, that I couldn't tell you.
But, you're more gravy than grave. That's what he says.
But when you look at the story, A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, what it is, it's a very nice story about hope.
Yes.
You know, that even though you're a Scrooge today, tomorrow you have the opportunity of being that nice person and doing unto others as you would have them do unto you. So.
Oh, yes.
So why are there people who are hell-bent to cancel Christmas these days?
Well, what's happening is with Christmas, we have a secular element, we have a religious element. It always has had this bipolar nature, okay? So when one side of doesn't want to let the other side play their reindeer games, well, the controversy arises, tempers flare, and sometimes those games get canceled. Have you heard of that controversy last year in the state of Washington?
With the Christmas tree in the airport? No, then I guess I hadn't. Please tell me about it.
Okay, well, basically, they had all these, they put an atheist placard for the winter solstice next to the manger scene in the state capitol building. And well, the Christians got all up in arms, and they got very upset, and they protested. So this year, the state won't even allow any public displays. They only have one holiday tree, and they do call it a holiday tree.
Well, don't you think that they're going a little too far these days? You know, like I kid a lot around. I kid around a lot about Christmas and being a Scrooge.
Sure.
But if you want to say Merry Christmas, if you want to put a Christmas tree up in your front yard, if you want to decorate your house for Christmas, if you want to celebrate the holiday, you know, it's your business. It's your right. The last I saw and read of the Constitution, it certainly doesn't give the government the right to interfere with your Christmas holidays.
Oh, correct. I think everybody should be free to do exactly what they want to do.
And you know,
I don't.
And for those who come to North America, Canada, the United States, if you don't like the way we do things here, go back to where you came. It's that simple. It's that simple.
But I also don't think you should force people to say Merry Christmas if they want to say Happy Holidays as well.
I agree. It's preference. If you want to say Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. If you want to say Happy Holidays, say Happy Holidays. If you want to say Season's Greetings, say Season's Greetings. No, we never had these problems years ago when the immigration laws weren't so open. And I think by opening the borders the way that both countries have, we've invited in a lot of problems. And now that the floodgates are wide open, you know, they were even talking about canceling Halloween festivities in certain schools because it wasn't religiously correct.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah, there's a lot going on right now. A lot of things are getting shaken.
A lot of things are getting shaken, and, you know, there are people who who just want to sit in the corner and, for God's sake, stand up. Say what's on your mind. You live in a democratic country. You have your rights democratically. It seems that new people coming into the Americas know their rights more than those who were born in the Americas. And you know what? I say Merry Christmas. I say Happy Easter. I say Gesundheit when somebody sneezes, or God bless you. We've gone too far trying to make everybody politically happy.
Correct. I agree with that.
And
I think you should let your yes be yes, your no be no, Christmas.
Exactly.
Whatever you want to call it.
Exactly. Plus the more people that you get to understand their culture, their ways, their holidays, the more respect there is around the world. And if everybody respects each other, you know what? There's something called no wars happening.
Yeah, respect goes a long ways.
It certainly does. Tell me, what was the first Christmas controversy in 2009? I mean, besides my little tirade a few minutes ago.
Well, it actually happened in England, Yorkshire, England. There were these 3 charity shops. Do you guys call them charity shops in Canada?
Yes, we do, yeah.
Okay. And a news agent. They received this letter, and get this, the writer, he claimed to be speaking for the movement for the containment of Christmas. And the letters he posted, I'm assuming it's a he because we really don't know, they were postmarked on August 24th, 2009, and this is what this letter said. This is a polite but very serious reminder not to display Christmas cards until November 1st. We will put super glue into your locks if you do. Then he ends the letter, peace and goodwill.
Wait a second. Hold on here. Because he was saying do not display Christmas cards until November when?
November 1st, and he wrote this on August 24th. And this was this year. And get this, the next day, a mental health charity shop, they had their locks super glued.
Oh, my God.
Literally.
That is way too much.
Isn't that funny?
I think it's pathetic. And yet,
well,
so many people are going to be going out this weekend, putting out their Christmas tree lights. I know I am. I dig it deep into my pocket at Christmas time because there are many people who are going to be without food, without winter
Correct.
clothing, without a gift under the Christmas tree. We forget the true meaning of Christmas at Christmas. Instead of thinking about ourselves, we should be thinking about those less fortunate. And just don't wait for one day of a year to do it. Because, you see, to me, Christmas is like, you know when you go into the confessional and you confess all your sins and then you're able to sin again for another week until you go do more confessions? I think that Christmas is looked at by people around the world as their one-day confessional. You see, they're nice one day of the year, and they can be mean, nasty, no good, and forgetful for the rest of the year. I think that is so wrong. Why can't we think like Christmas every day? And you and I were talking on the commercial break that there is something in the air come Christmas time. Magic, the spirit of Christmas. I don't know what to call it, but I know it's as real as the desk and chair that are in front of me right now. And as I'm talking to you hundreds of miles away, that this is a real feeling. This is a real sense. And if we were able to just keep this going 365 days of the year, can you imagine what a great world this would be? There'd be no more wars. There'd be no more hunger. There'd be no more homeless. There'd be no more unemployed. For God's sake, why don't we put Santa Claus in Washington and Ottawa? That makes sense to me. Good idea. That makes sense to me. But it's all about this Christmas, as I believe, and this is just my own belief, still goes back to December the 25th, when this little child was born to very poor parents in a manger. Whether this is fact, whether this is a story, whatever it is, it has altered history and the way mankind has thought since that day. There have been controversies. There have been wars. There have been great catastrophes and calamities based on it. However, once a year, many people around this world who believe in it reflect on what this event means and the events that have happened because of this event. And I just wish that here in the year 2009 we were able to get our act together and really do what this little child's birth was supposed to do: unite the world, bring us peace, and show that we're all from the same tree.
That's very good. I agree that, people just need to treat each other better.
Yeah.
And that's what we call the Christmas spirit.
You and I have to take a 4-minute commercial break. We'll be right back. Robin Main is my very special guest. www.Santa-Tizing.com is her website. And when we come back, we're going to be talking to Robin about the new Christmas Carol movie that she went and saw. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, right here on Talkstar. Don't go away.
Way up in the sky, little lamb, do you see what I see?
Do you see what I see?
A star, dancing in the night, with a tail as big.
It was almost Christmas time. There I stood in another line, trying to buy that last gift or two. Not really in the Christmas mood. Standing right in front of me was a little boy waiting anxiously, pacing round like little boys do. And in his hands he held a pair of shoes. And his clothes were worn and old.
Welcome back, everyone. I remember the first time I heard this song. It's called The Christmas Shoes by Bob Carlyle. It was in 2001, and I was at a very busy intersection in Markham, Ontario. I was living in Markham at the time. And the lights turned green. Nobody moved. You looked around and everybody was... And that's what Christmas is about. When you can get that feeling in your heart, you've been touched at that very special place. You know that feeling you get Christmas Eve? Like, there's one Christmas Eve I remember, Robin. We lived in downtown Montreal in the Irish part, and my mom and dad and aunts and uncles all were gathered, and I think they must have run out of pop, because they asked my cousin Peter, who has passed away this year, and I to go to the local store to pick up some ginger ale. It was a beautiful Christmas night. The moon, I remember the moon being so bright, and then the sound of the snow as you walked on it. And my cousin, who was a little older than I, looked at me and said, "He's coming tonight, you know, Bobby. Santa's coming tonight." And here we were, two kids going to the store to get some pop for mom and dad and aunts and uncles. And we were so excited that Santa Claus was going to be coming that night. And I don't think that there's anyone listening around the world tonight who has celebrated Christmas at any time in their life who does not know that feeling that I'm talking about right now. That's Christmas. That feeling of wonderment, that feeling of peace, that feeling of love. That's what Christmas is. And I believe that this is what the meaning of Christmas was meant to be from the very start of the in the conception of Christmas. What's your favorite part about Christmas?
It's exactly what you talk about. I have wonderful memories of going to cut down a Christmas tree in the forest. I lived in Montana. Yeah. That's where I grew up, just over the border from Canada, Alberta.
Beautiful state.
It was wonderful. And, we would cut down the Christmas tree, and we'd bring hot chocolate, and we'd sing these Christmas carols over those CB radios. You remember those?
Yeah, I sure do.
And, we could sing to any deer or bear who'd listen to
All right, I've got to ask you, what was your CB handle? Come on.
I think I was Rubber Ducky.
All right, mine was Blue Night.
Really?
Yeah. But you know what? Christmas, here you are talking to me. We don't know each other. But right now, I'll bet you we're together. We're feeling the very same feelings, the very same emotions. And not understanding why people can't feel the way that we do right this very second. Robin, it's been a pleasure having you with us tonight. We have to say so long for now. I'd love to have you back on closer to Christmas so we can celebrate more about Christmas and share Christmas memories with those around the world. What do you say?
That'd be wonderful.
Robin, thank you very much for joining us. Give us your website.
It is www.Santa-Tizing.com.
Exo Nation, Robin Main, my guest this hour, and Robin will be back in the future, but right now we have to say so long until the other side of the news at 6.5 minutes past as we continue live and around the world on Talkstar.